Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Enlightened Entrepreneur. Today's interview is sponsored by World Outsourcing Solutions, a company that specializes in helping business owners with outsourcing needs. You can check it out on www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com for more information. And today's interview is a very special interview because I've got a gentleman today from London, West London, close to where I'm based here. And we are going to be talking about the critical skills every business owner needs to have and develop if they're to succeed, maybe as a coach or in whatever field you find yourself in. With me today is Andy Sharma. Andy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, okay. Good to be here.
Incredible. Now, Andy, you are a hands-on expert when it comes to business coaching, and thank you for agreeing to do this interview to help the community and the audience here on how they can take their business forward, maybe by just sharing one or two things. Now, to get us started, Andy, I know for a fact that people would love to know who you are. So could you tell us a little about yourself in terms of your background, education, and your experience?
Sure, okay. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm a business coach, as you mentioned, in West London. And I've been working for almost 25 years into various sectors: retail, petroleum, hospitality, education, customer service, in the corporate sector. And last 6 years, I've been into coaching and consulting, taking the break from corporate world. My goal is to create world abundance through business re-education. I'm passionate about helping people not only excel in business, but also in their personal life. So that's what I do.
Incredible. And, what's your educational background? I know you had to work.
Oh, yes. I missed that one. Sorry. So I've done my MBA, and I also have sort of Chartered Management Institute. So I'm specialized in business management per se.
Outstanding. And are you originally from London? You've got a beautiful accent coming on.
Originally, I'm from India, so
Right.
There may be an accent there of Indian descent. But yes, I've been in UK for some time, so it'll be a mix of the two accents.
It's wonderful. One of my guests, AJ, I had the privilege of interviewing from the US. Migrated from India, and was in the US for about 4 years to do his MBA, and he started an amazing company. He's now, a national company over there in the US about transcription, and now his service is being used by FBI and universities all across the country.
Interesting.
And the man is just amazing how he's managed to build such an amazing business over a very short space of time. So, there's a lot of great things that come out from India, and I'm expecting to have a good time with you. Okay, Andy, let's talk about the decision you made to move from the corporate world and into starting your own business. What prompted you to do so?
Well, you guys, as I said, I worked for more than 25 years, and while working in the corporate sector, I managed small businesses, large businesses. I also had a couple of businesses of my own. And about 7 years ago, I decided to put my knowledge and experience to good use by helping business owners achieve their goals. What I realized that most business owners invest their hard-earned money and sometimes borrow from friends and family into an idea they believe in. And more than half of them fail within first 2 years, with almost 80% failing in first 5 years. So I decided to help business owners turn their passionate idea into successful ventures. And that's what got me into business coaching.
Incredible. And, throughout the journey so far, from the time you had the idea of moving from the corporate world and up to now, when you are doing what you love doing as a business coaching.
Right. So the things that I really help with people is not only focus on what they can get out of the business, but also what they can get in personal life. So it's having both time and money to be able to have what they want and do what they want. So it's done by working on the business, structuring the business as per the needs of the business owner, both in terms of number of hours they work and amount of money they want to make. So I strongly believe business is only vehicle to get what you want in personal life. So it's very important for me to focus on both aspects of life, both business and person, when I'm working with a client of mine.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. If you were talking to somebody who's getting started and they ask you, so Andy, what is the first skill every business owner needs to have when it comes to running their coaching business, so to speak? What would be your answer?
Well, whenever I work with any client or anybody who asks me about getting into the business, there are a couple of things I mention to them, and that is about the mindset and about the comfort zone. What we've realized over a bit of time is education system that we have is designed to create specialists or experts, and we excel in one particular skill or trade like engineering or finance or architecture or something else. People become good at it over a period of time, and one day decide that instead of making the boss rich, they could be rich themselves. However, all this while they have been trained to do a job. So when they get into the business, they end up creating a job for themselves, and the best thing is they hire themselves as a boss. So I'm sure you must have read a book by Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's a perfect read for anyone who wishes to get into the business. It's important to make that mindset shift before you can be successful in the business. And the second area is the comfort zone. As a business owner, when you get into the business, you not only have to be good at what you do, but also in other areas like marketing or sales or finance or team building and so on. So it's about getting out of your comfort zone and being able to learn these new skills and training other people to take it over from you. So before anybody gets into business, I would suggest they need to work on these two areas and have clarity on these two before they can make a success out of any business venture they want to get in.
Incredible. We seem to have a background chat. Would you kindly check to see if that's coming from your computer there, Andy, before we proceed with...
Okay, I'll check that. Yeah, it's done now.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to, why is this particular skill very important?
Right. So, I mean, having a coach in any business is more about taking ownership and being accountable to somebody else. Just like sports, you have coaches in sport. So any good sportsman or a business legend or a performing superstar is surrounded by coaches and advisors. So, and in terms of business, as the world of business moves faster and gets more competitive, it's difficult to keep up with all the changes in the industry, in addition to running the business on a day-to-day basis. So just like a sports coach, you'll find success by following the lead of a good coach in sports and winning with the game plan. As a business owner, you need a game plan, and a business coach can help you develop that. At the same time, a business coach can help you be more objective and help you see the forest for the trees. So that is why I think it's important to have a coach in the business or somebody you can trust and be able to relate to. At the same time, business is a very lonely place. There are challenges in the business on a day-to-day basis, but then you can't talk to your family about it. You can't talk to your employees about it, and your friends are all busy. So you need somebody to be able to talk to, bounce off the ideas, or discuss things that you may be working on. So business coach is a perfect person to help you get through all this transition as you're growing the business. It also helps being accountable to somebody else, because that way you get things done and make things happen in the business or in personal life.
Absolutely. I love what you said there about, you can't talk to your employee, you can't talk to your family about that, and sometimes you can't even talk to your friends. This is absolutely the truth. The journey of the entrepreneur, there are certain things that you go through that even if you try to explain to your family, they don't get it because they are not in it. If you talk to your...
And also you wouldn't want to bother them with all the problems that you may be having, because you don't want to take the stress back home. So you want to leave your stress at work, but then if you go home and you talk to them, you're not doing justice to your relationships anyway.
Absolutely. Therefore, if you are listening and joining us, one of the critical skills that you need as a business owner, or one of the things you need, is having a coach. Find the right person you can trust that you can talk things through, so that you have an external view in whatever you're working on your, be it a small project or a bigger project. A third voice is very important.
Absolutely, you're spot on there.
Incredible. How do you go about picking the right coach?
Well, for you to find the right coach, you need to have a personality fit. They're very good coaches and they're very good businessmen, very successful business owners. But there has to be a fit. You need to be able to trust your coach. You need to be able to relate to your coach. And at the same time, the coach needs to be good enough into the area that they would be advising you on. So, but more importantly for me, it's important if I start working with any client, I would like to understand where they want to go and where they want to reach. What is it that they're looking to achieve in their personal life and in the business. And there has to be a personality fit, because coaching is a very close relationship. It's sometimes you tend to share very personal things with your coach. So unless you have that trust factor between the two parties, it is very, very difficult for the coaching to work. So in my mind, that is the most important thing when you go out looking for a coach: being able to relate to a person, being able to trust that person.
Absolutely. I can talk from my own experience. I've got several coaches on different aspects of my business and my life, really. And the ones I've kept for years are the ones that were, direct with me and held me accountable to the progress that I have. And many of them are not afraid of, the amount of money I'm making. That doesn't even come into play. But the people that say very interested in achieving the particular goal I set out to be, and they are who are also doing, who actually have a coach for themselves. So it's not like you get to somebody and they themselves don't have a coach. But,
Well, that's true. That's true. I mean, as a coach, I also have a business coach. So I have my own coach who I report to or who I talk to almost on a regular basis. So I practice what I preach, because even though I'm a coach, even though I know most of the stuff, I still need to be accountable to somebody else on the outside. So every person, every business owner, anybody who wants to move from point A to point B needs a coach. But it's a matter of finding that right person and being accountable to that person. So absolutely spot on there.
Accountability. When you have accountability, because you can't hold yourself accountable because you feel sorry for yourself and you let yourself off the hook. But when you have an external individual helping you to do that, it's amazing how fast you can grow and the things that you can achieve over a very short space of time. Now, Andy, let's look at the second skill, in your opinion, that any startup or any business owner needs to master if they're to get to their goals fairly quick and straightforward.
Right. So I think to be successful, I mean, they need to develop the right habits in terms of for long-term growth. So for business owner to be successful, I would say they need to have a clear written down plan and goals. So have clarity on what they're looking to achieve and what are the milestones along the way. And they need to be working with their time very efficiently. They need to be investing time in most valuable and most profitable activities of the business. So they need to figure out what is the most valuable activity for the business, so sales, for example, or finance, for example, and what is the most profitable activity for the business. And they need to be investing enough time in those areas for the business to prosper further. And at the same time, when they are in a business, they need to focus on value creation and what problem or pain their product and service is solving, rather than focusing on the price. So if they focus on what value their product or service is creating and position that upfront, it will be easier for them to grow their business and get more clients. And lastly, it's all about numbers. They need to know their numbers inside out. They need to be good with numbers. A lot of people I come across have told me, "Oh, we're not very good with numbers." But when you get into the business, as I mentioned earlier about comfort zone, you need to learn the numbers. You need to learn to work with Excel sheet. You need to learn with calculating your break evens or profitability and things like that. Uh, and when you're good enough with it, you need to be able to teach somebody to take it forward from there and look at the management accounts or MIS reports that are being generated. So I think these are the things which you really need to focus on as basics. And on top of that, then marketing, then finding the right people on their team, which have to be usually better than themselves. Because if you're the best person in the team, then you're on the wrong team. This is my opinion. You need to find people better than yourself to take you forward. So these are the things which you need to work on, and in the end, you need to have a mentor or a coach. Doesn't have to be a professional coach. It could be somebody you have respect for, somebody you can be accountable to, who can help you move from point A to point B. I think these are the few things which business owners need to work on for long-term growth.
Incredible. I love the way you've gone on to cover all the things that business owner needs to cover. For example, clarity of the plan. I've written all of them down, but we want to go back to a few of those things and really go a bit deeper in there. Sure. So that our audience would have a better clarification or a better understanding of some of these things. One of the things you mentioned there is, if a business owner is to succeed, they need to have a clear plan,
That's right.
that is measurable and something that they can stick to. Let's explore that thought for a moment.
Yeah, sure. So, like I said, before we start any coaching relationship, if I would start with any client, I would be interested to know what is it that they want to achieve personally. Because I believe, as I said earlier, that business is only a vehicle to get you what you want in your personal life. So it's important for me to understand what are their personal motivations or personal goals that they would like to achieve. And then you translate those goals into numbers and into money, in terms of time and money, in terms of business goal. For example, if somebody needs to buy a house, or somebody needs to buy a car, or somebody needs to go on vacation, so what does that mean? How much time they need and how much money they need to do that. And then you translate them into business goals. For example, if this is the amount of money, if they need X amount of money, so how much the business needs to be delivering in terms of top line and bottom line for them to be able to take that money out. And then it's important to have those goals written down and broken down into action points. So normally I work with any client that I work with is develop 3 to 5 year goals and then break them down backwards on a quarterly basis. I run a quarterly planning workshop. The next one is on 23rd of September. What we do is when we do a 1 full day workshop, and we translate these long-term goals into action points into each area of the business. For example, what do they need to do in terms of time management? What do they need to do in terms of financial management? Or what do they need to do in terms of sales and marketing and team goals? So you break them down in those action points which they need to be focusing on. Because a goal, having a big goal, a 3-year goal or a 5-year goal is a good idea. But at the same time, if you cannot break it down backwards into action points as to what you need to do on this week or next month, it is very difficult for you to achieve that goal. So, just like you said, you eat an elephant a bite at a time. So that's what we try to do. That's why it's important to have that clear written down goal and plan so that you can focus on it.
Incredible. I love what you said about, the 3 to 5 years, and then you work backwards virtually. I absolutely believe that, because in my business we do exactly the same thing, and it works like magic, because we work with the end in mind. So we work backwards. Say, okay, if we are to reach $100,000 in the next 3 months, okay, what has to happen? Okay, this has to happen, and what after that? What has to happen before that?
Yes.
And we work backwards. Everyone on the team knows the goal before we actually reach it, and then we begin to execute things on a timely basis, so that if we are not reaching a particular stepping stone, so to speak, we know we are not going to reach that goal. It works amazingly well.
Yes.
Let's
absolutely.
look at another one that you mentioned there when we were talking about the skills, is the ability to prioritize what is important and doing those first. Let's explore that thought for a moment.
Right. So in terms for a business owner, time is a commodity which is perishable. So once the time goes away, you cannot get it back. You can make more money, but the time is very limited resource. And everybody wants to get maximum return on their time. So it's very important to invest their time very wisely. So I work with a tool called Default Diary with business owners that I work with, and we try and allocate, just like, for example, we used to be in school or college, we used to have a timetable, and we knew every time, every day, where we need to be and to do what. But when we get out of the school or college, just because we are smart enough, we'll drop that, and we try to manage our time on our own. But that is a tool which worked fine in school or college. Why can't we use that later on? So we work with a tool called Default Diary, something similar to that. You allocate time for important activities of your business, so most valuable and most profitable activities. And then you decide as to how many hours of sales you're going to do, how many hours of marketing you're going to do, how many hours of operations, based on the business or based on the position that you are in. And then you try to slot those hours into the diary and try and stick to it. Because a lot of time people think they're busy, but they're wasting their time on a lot of unimportant activities. By doing this, they can focus on the right activities in the business. And also I encourage business owners to map out their activities on a fun skill matrix. For example, rate each activity that they do in the business as to how much fun it is, whether it's high fun or low fun, or whether it's a high skill or low skill activity, and map it on a 2x2 matrix. And all the activities which are low fun and low skill needs to be delegated or to somebody else in the business. We need to find somebody else who can do that job, and they need to be focusing on high fun and high skill activities, and try and look at the other two quadrants as to what they can do about it, and where they're spending their time to be more efficient. And that sort of opens their eyes as to what they're actually doing in the business. Another thing which we do with the business owners is calculating how much money they're making and how many hours they're working. So sometimes when I've done this exercise with business owners, they have ended up earning less than minimum wages, which they never realized as to how many hours they're putting in and what money they're taking out of the business. So this is also another good exercise for them to value their time more than they would normally do.
Incredible. You mentioned a tool that you use. Can you mention that I gave for our audience?
It's called a Default Diary.
Spell that for us, please.
So Default is DEFAULT, Default.
Yes.
Diary. So it basically you slot the activities that you need to do in your business based on where you are at and what.
Is that a software?
It's not a software. It's a simple tool which can be made into an Excel sheet. So you basically put the hours that you want to be spending on each activity depending on where you are at. For example, if you want to increase your sales, then you would be putting more hours in sales and marketing. If your focus is, if your long-term goal or your short-term goal is systemizing the business, then you would be spending more time working on the manuals or training people and things like that. So it depends on what your goal is, short-term or long-term. You can change it, and you can sort of put as many hours as you need on a weekly basis in there, and then try to stick to it so that you can measure as to how many hours have you spent on each activity and what result have you got.
Incredible. Thank you. I think this is the first time I've heard about the Default Diary.
Okay.
And I'm sure you can send the audience a sample for that, and it can be put at the bottom of this link so that they have a look at what you're talking about.
Oh, definitely. Yes. Why not? I would be happy to share it with everybody.
Incredible. And let's look at value proposal, which you mentioned as well. One of those skills that business owners need to develop if they're to succeed.
Right. So what I mean by that is focusing on value, what product or service is bringing to the table. What happens, you need to differentiate. So you need to have a unique selling proposition for you to be different from others. When you're competing in the marketplace, most people are competing on price. But for you to get out of that price competition, create a USP, create a sort of niche for yourself, you need to focus on what value you're creating. And the best way to do it is figure out what pain are you solving in the marketplace. So for example, there was this plumber that we worked with, and we did a research for that plumber as to why are people doing business with him. And even though we had an idea as to why people would call that particular plumber, But the most important thing which came out was the pain area which came out of the segment was plumbers not turning up on time when they say they will turn up. And that wastes a lot of time for people. So for him to create a value proposition around that area of pain, saying that if I don't turn up on time, or something, my team does not turn up on time, first of all, guarantee that they will turn up on time. If they don't turn up on time, if they're late by half an hour or so, they will knock off 20% of the bill, or if they're later than that. So creating a value proposition which sort of calms the other customer down, saying that they anticipate a problem like that, but because they have given a guarantee, it acts as a conversion tool. People are more ready to go with the person who gives them a guarantee based on an area of pain than somebody else who just talks about that, we're the best plumbers in the world. So something on those lines. So if you focus on value, people don't talk about price, then you're able to charge a premium for your product or service and make your product more profitable and generate more money with the same sale as somebody else who down the road would be doing.
Okay, outstanding. Andy, we are coming toward the end of our time here together, but I know for a fact that people would love to get in touch with you, and maybe use some of your services. So can you talk to us about two things? One, how can they get in touch with you? And secondly, what type of clients do you normally work with?
Well, they can reach me through my website or my Twitter or my Facebook. Even on the LinkedIn, I have the links available. I think you'll be putting up those links at the end of the interview, is it?
Correct.
Yeah. So they can reach out through that. Anybody can just drop me a message, and I will be happy to have a chat with them. And the clients that I'm looking for is more people who have been running business successfully, but they want to get onto the next level. So people who are finding something challenging, or people who think they have reached the ceiling or hit a roof where they're not able to break that ceiling, are the people I would be happy to work with. So anybody having challenge around team, or anybody having challenge around sales and profitability, I would be happy to have a chat with them and help them through the process.
Outstanding. Finally, knowing what you know now, Andy, if you were to look back and maybe go on start into a different business, what would you do differently? Maybe more of, or maybe less of?
Well, in the initial days, I mean, if I'm talking about my business, in the initial days, I took on clients as they came, and I wasn't very good at evaluating people in the beginning. If somebody said they wanted coaching, I just took them on as a client. But as I stand now, for me, it's important to understand. The first thing is, where does that person want to go? What does he want? What are his dreams? And what are the things that they want to work on? And secondly, most importantly, are they coachable? Because coaching is not for everybody. Let's be honest about it. If they're willing to participate, if they're willing to be accountable and take responsibility for their business and their goal, then only it makes sense to get into a relationship, working relationship with a coach. I've had to terminate my coaching engagement with people didn't fit the criteria. So I become wiser in this aspect. So I don't coach everybody. People have to qualify for me to be able to coach them. And at the end of the day, it's a personality fit. It's not necessary that everybody is a perfect client for me, or I'm a perfect coach for everybody. So it depends who you gel with, who you're able to relate to, who you can trust. So that is more important for me now. And that is what I have changed over a period of time, that I need to be sure that I can help these people and they will be able to move on with my help in this relationship.
Incredible. And finally, what is the perfect mindset any business owner should have when they come to seek the assistance of a coach?
Well, I think important thing is that they need to understand they're a business owner. That's the right mindset they need to have. They need to get out of the mindset of a job, on being a mindset of a business owner. And as business owner, you're responsible not only for yourself, but also for your business and for the people who are working for you. So have that clarity in your head, have that mindset clear that you're a business owner. So you cannot pass the buck around, or you cannot give up easily. You need to be able to invest in leadership qualities, not only for yourself, but also for people under you, and have a clear vision, mission, and what sort of team you would like to have in future, or currently if you already have a team. And you need to be willing to share all these things with your team and have them aligned to your mission and value. I think that is the most important aspect. And invest in employee engagement, engaging your team and involve them as much as you can. And if you have better people than yourself in the team, and if they're motivated and if they're engaged, you will go places. I think these are the most important things that you need to work on.
Incredible. Thank you, Andy, for such a great interview. And I'm sure all business owners in our audience have a much clearer understanding of what it is to work with a coach and many other aspects of business that we've covered today. If you wanted that website to connect with Andy, go to www.actioncoach.com/Andy Sharma. You will be able to connect with him there. From us, we look forward to speaking with you again in another episode of Enlightened Entrepreneur. In the meantime, go visit our website, which is our www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com for any outsourcing needs. Alternatively, send an email to support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. One of the project managers will be in touch with you. Here's what we always say after speaking to great experts like Andy is, what have you learned today? Write it down and go implement one or two of those things. You'll be amazed at what your business will turn out to be when you implement these incremental ideas. Every single time you learn something, you implement it. But at the end of the year, your business will be totally different because it takes just a little hinge to swing huge doors. So we believe that as you apply these things, your business is going to change. And again, we believe in giving to the community. I nearly forgot asking you, Andy, about this. What's your concept about giving back to the community?
Well, I think giving back to the community is very important, and I do support a few charities, but the best way I can support community is helping the business community. I believe the businesses do well. They don't only contribute to the economy, but also create direct and indirect employment. So I offer free workshops and seminars to business owners, which helps them deal with their challenges in marketing, social media, team engagement, time management, and financial smartness. The list of workshops is there on my website, and if anybody wants more information, I'll be happy to offer them to them. So I think helping the businesses thrive or prosper is the best way to giving back to the community. That's what I believe in.
Incredible, outstanding. Therefore, if you're a business owner, you're starting out, on this great journey, which we all have. I firmly believe that, entrepreneurs are the answer to the needs of our community, of our country here in the United Kingdom, and also across the globe, really, because without us creating the jobs, leaving the work all to the politicians, they're great, but they cannot do everything. It takes us playing our part to them playing their part, and the other major aspects of the organizational structure or society structures playing their part for us to create a better society. With that said, Andy, once again, thank you so much for joining us and being with knowledge. And the listeners, thank you for being here with us. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Good to be with you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.